I'd like to call the meeting to order. If you would stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, welcome everyone. Welcome everyone watching at home. We would be at roll call. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Trustee DeVore.
Present.
Trustee Gett.
Present.
Trustee Kazan.
Present.
Trustee Marfell.
Present.
Trustee Wigginton. Trustee Weisenberg.
Present.
All right, again, welcome everyone. Item 4 is approval of the minutes from the Board of Trustees meeting on April 20th, 2021. I'd ask for a motion to approve the minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes for the meeting on April 20th.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to approve the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. We would be at announcements. Just a few announcements this Friday, or I'm sorry, yes, this Friday. This Saturday, rather, I'm sorry, the Peoria Heights Art Fair at Tower Park and the opening day of Tower Park. And other upcoming nights, Friday, June 4th is the Friday Night Heights, and Friday, June 11th is the Peoria Drum Circle. So those are upcoming events. The other thing I wanted to mention that this is National Public Works Week, and I wanted to acknowledge and thank everyone who works in our Public Works Department. So either Mike or Chris, if you would mention everybody's name and tell us a little bit about your employees.
Okay, yeah. National Public Works Week is the 16th of May through the 22nd of May, and this year's theme is Stronger Together. And a lot of people think Public Works, we just fill potholes and plow snow, but there's various jobs we do, and Chris in charge, we do water also with all 7 of us. So there's a lot of duties we do, and just to mention the guys, well, me, myself, and Chris Chandler are in the Public Works. We got Scott Shoup, T.J. Bischoff, Eric Quinn, James Bartley, and Curtis Spence that kind of run the show for the village and take care of the community, and we do a little bit of everything. If I sat here, I'd be here all night mentioning things, but we appreciate our leadership, and anything we can do for the community, we do it. So, thank you.
Thank you, guys. The clerk just informed me Trustee Wigginton is now on the phone, correct?
Yes, I am here. Thank you.
All right. We'd be at comments from the audience. If anyone who would like to address the board, please come forward to the podium, give your name and address, and try and keep your remarks under 5 minutes. Anyone want to address the board tonight? Public comment going once, twice. Public comments closed. On to trustees' report. The first is administration and finance. Trustee DeVore.
Thank you, Mayor. So I just wanted to let everyone know that we have applied for a grant that would allow us to do some redevelopment of the infrastructure on Prospect. It is looking very optimistic. We are really hoping that we receive that. And Administrator Dustin Sutton has really put a lot of work into that, so I'm really anxious to hear the results from it. There are some other things that we have to talk about, but they are in new business tonight, so that is all for my report today.
Thank you. Anything from you on that, Chief? Okay. On to facilities. Trustee Gett.
Thank you, Mayor Phelan. I have nothing to report at this time.
Okay. Next is economic and community development. Trustee Kazan.
Thank you, Mayor. The only thing that I want to report on is that we have ongoing conversations with IDOT. Last week, we met at their facility to continue discussions about the road development on 29. They have been very amenable to hearing our needs and wants for that corridor, and they are working within the parameters of the grant structure and have listened to all of our concerns and interests. So that's been a very good relationship. That's an ongoing project.
Okay, thank you. Next, under Neighborhoods and Parks, Trustee Weisenberg.
Thanks, Mayor. I got a few items here today. Earlier today, Mr. Casey and I met with the Lions Club and a playground equipment vendor to get an idea of what was needed to bring a new playground to Lions Park. It was a very good meeting. We learned a lot. Thanks to Mr. Casey and Lions Club for their flexibility of coming out in the rain today to take a look at the area. So we're working on getting some bids to replace that equipment as well. An update on some of my fellow board members will remember there was a student group from St. Thomas that wanted to bring a universal access playground to Tower Park. They applied for a Build Peoria grant, and they are a finalist. Voting is ongoing right now for that. So if you get a chance, go to buildpeoria.org/vote. And then I think that is, we're still working on the neighborhood grant. The submission, I believe, is in August, so we're still collecting information for that. Anything else on that?
No, that's it. Met with Tri-County today. They'll be attending a June meeting for a public hearing to gather information that the metrics were just sent out on that grant and what was needed. So like Trustee Weisenberg said, the submission will be in August, but there are a few things that we have to do in the meantime. We're working towards that.
Thank you both. Incidentally, it is very important that people vote in regular elections, but also in the Build Peoria. So if you wanted Mike or Sarah to help you in any way to get that out on our social media, on our website, to encourage people in the Heights to vote for that, coordinate that. If
I
you
will. Thanks, Mayor.
Okay. On to Public Works. Trustee Marfell.
Yep, got a couple things. First off, Forest Park Drive will be closed for maintenance on Thursday, May 20th. That's this Thursday, from 8:30 to 2 p.m. That's Thursday, May 20th, 8:30 to 2 for maintenance. We've hired 2 Peoria Heights High School students to work summer help starting June 1st through mid-August. They'll be with Public Works. Their main task will be mowing grass around the village properties. We've also hired a Bradley student as a groundskeeping assistant for our main groundskeeper, Tanya. And her main task will be to keep or maintain the flowers on the weekends. She'll be also working some weekdays, but her main responsibility will be the weekends. And the flower prep around the village is ongoing. The planting has been delayed due to the weather, and they hope to begin planting sometime later this week.
Great, thank you. And next is Public Safety. Trustee Wigginton, are you there?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. And not being present physically there, I don't know if Chief Thompson is there at the meeting, and I hate to steal some of his thunder if he is, but I am made aware that the Firemen's Association here would like to host a couple of Pass the Boot money drives, fundraisers, one on June the 5th and also one on September the 11th. I don't know if the chief is there. And if
Yes.
you'd like to comment on that, but obviously the one on September the 11th will be marking the 20th anniversary of the terrorist attacks, and I think they have something special planned for that day. But if he's here, I guess he can comment on that if you like.
He is here. We'll go to him, and then we'll come back to you. How's that? Go ahead, Chief.
That sounds great.
On September 11th, we're going to have the aerial truck set up over the intersection at Cyberlane so we can have a flag draped down from it, covering the entire intersection, basically.
Okay, back to you, Trustee Wigginton.
Thank you, and thank you, Chief. And then I think the only other issue, and this is something that I've been made aware of in the community, and I know Trustee, you've been outspoken on this, about making sure our car doors are locked, and at night. I know that some people have noticed some folks kind of looking around and suspicious characters, maybe people looking into cars. Yeah, just make sure we keep our doors locked. But also, I know Chief Sutton would say this: the police are just a phone call away and willing to, help out our community.
Okay, thank you for that report. Anything, Chief, that we missed?
Yeah, just a couple things. I wanted to add, as you mentioned earlier, the art fair. We will be closing down Prospect Saturday from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m., rerouting traffic the same directions we did for St. Patrick's Day. Again, the decrease in speed limit will be posted. There will be enforcement in that area on Constantine. So if you are being rerouted, make sure you're aware of the decrease in speed because there will be enforcement throughout the day. So I want to bring that to your attention. And also, with spring and summer right upon us, you're going to see a huge increase of proactive code enforcement from the Peoria Heights Police Department. So please help us keep the community clean and your property clear of any code violations. We would greatly appreciate it. It was a great use of our manpower if we don't have to keep going back to the same properties, if you could address those issues for us. So that's all I have, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Then we'll move right on to old business. Any old business come before the board? Hearing none, on to new business. Excuse me. The first is a presentation of the Village of Peoria Heights Comprehensive Plan by Hassel Levine. Trustee DeVore, would you set this up, please, and introduce our guests?
Yes, so the gentlemen here are from Housel Levine. They have been with us through the whole thing. I think they've worked most with Trustee Kazam. They are going to explain all the information they've come up with through our comprehensive plan. So if you would love to share with us, that'd be great.
Thank you, Mayor, for having me tonight, and thank you to the board. It's really good to be here. I just want to touch on really four main things. I'm not going to go through the whole comprehensive plan because I know Sarah sent it out to all of you. But four main things: that it was first a really great process throughout the whole process. Secondly, I want to just touch quickly on what the purpose and point of a comprehensive plan is for the village. Third, implementation, how the village and you all can use this document going forward. And then fourth, I just want to touch briefly on some of the sort of unique features that this particular comprehensive plan has that are really specific to Peoria Heights. So the great process, we kicked off at the start of 2020 with a really well-attended community-wide meeting in the high school gymnasium. It was a good conversation. We got a lot of good feedback at a community-wide scale. And then funneling down from there, throughout the process, we had a series of 3 public webinars that, again, were very well attended. And some of those were conducted by myself and House of Levine staff, some of them by Farnsworth, who are here tonight, another part of our project team. And those were focused on the topics of transportation, parks, and the village sub-areas. And really that allowed us to sort of take the temperature of what we were working on along the way, make sure that this document was specific to Peoria Heights and that it met the needs of the village even as we were working on the next section. So that process, even though we've all become very familiar with webinars over the past year, that process was actually scoped from the beginning, and that was the plan for how this was going to work throughout. And it worked out. It really couldn't have worked more perfectly, especially considering the time frame that this was being conducted in. And then throughout the process, we also had an excellent working team. We had regular check-ins with the mayor, Trustee Kazam, and village staff to make sure that we were on track throughout the process. And lastly, a great relationship with Farnsworth, a good communication throughout, and they know this community backwards and forwards, and so really they were an asset to the process throughout. So again, great process. What's the point or the purpose of the comprehensive plan? this is a document that should really communicate the village vision, whether you're a trustee, another appointed or elected official, someone who's looking to start a business in the village, just a resident wondering what the village's vision for the community is. You should be able to pick up this document, take a look at it, and understand with a certain amount of fair certainty where the village wants to go for the future. It's a great source of information, and it should be written in a way, or it is written in a way that anybody should be able to pick this up, read it. You don't need any sort of interpretation or legal counsel to be able to understand this. This is written in a way that anybody should be able to understand and take a look at what the village's vision is and what it anticipates going into the future. Implementation and going forward, this document can really help the village tee up things like grants, whether you're looking at your trails, your trailheads, streetscaping, anything like that. There should be language in this document that can support those kind of efforts that can help improve the village long term. A lot of times when you go to fill out a grant application or something like that, one of the first questions you're going to see on there is, does the village have a current and up-to-date comprehensive plan? And we think that this document will help you achieve investment in the village long term, and that's exactly what it should do. Throughout, it should just be a touch point for decision making and really the blueprint or guidebook for Peoria Heights at all levels. And then lastly, some fun stuff, some of the unique and cool features for this particular document. First, there's a lot of nice 3D visualizations in the sub-areas section of the plan. These are not intended to be architectural renderings. They're not what is going to happen, but rather more of like a visualization of what could happen if development occurs in these areas. And they can be used to evaluate against future development proposals. You know, we know that it's not going to look exactly like that, but this is an idea of what could happen in some of these catalyst areas in the village. The bike pedestrian map, a particular favorite of mine. We took a close look at actual street widths and filled in some of the gaps in Tri-County's bike network, connections on specific village streets where that can complement the Rock Island Greenway, provide additional connectivity for potential on-street bikeways in the future, and they're based in reality, what could actually occur on the village public way. Prioritization in the south, potentially some new pocket parks or community gardens or things like that. Get some new green space in the southern area where there's not that immediate access to the green space and open space. That's more of a general recommendation. Should there be opportunities to do that, we provide some language for how the village could do that. And then really a deep dive into recreation and riverfront activation along the bluff. Unique to the village, it's a beautiful asset, and this plan takes a close look at some of the things that could happen in that really special area. And then last but not least, perhaps one of the most important parts of this document we included, that's not included in every comprehensive plan, is a zoning audit. That's in the implementation section of this document, and it starts to tee up some of the areas where the village's zoning may be able to be changed to start to implement some of the things that are in this comprehensive plan. So your zoning regulations are one of the tools that you can use to implement the plan, and we've already started to set up some of the ways that you can do that. Again, I just want to emphasize it's been a wonderful process. I know I speak on behalf of some of my colleagues at House Levine that we love working in Peoria Heights. It's been a really great experience, and I do have the document on the screen, and I'm open to any questions if you have them.
Any questions? I think you guys did a terrific job. Thank you so much, and not only on this project, but on other small area studies you've done for us. So in my years in public service, I've seen some good consultants, not so good, and maybe even some bad ones. But you guys have done terrific work for us, and so did Farnsworth, so we're very thankful, grateful to you for this. And incidentally, I believe it was Trustee DeVore mentioned the grant for Prospect, and that went through Congressman LaHood's office, one of the things that helped us and that they asked for was the comprehensive plan. So both the feds and the state government want to see the plan for the future. So thank you much. Okay, so next would be the approval of the Village of Peoria Heights Comprehensive Plan. Trustee DeVore, I would ask for a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the Peoria Heights Comprehensive Plan.
And a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion on the motion? I would just say that both this and upcoming item are big investments for us. This was a big investment for us, but I think that this will pay dividends, but we can't set it on a shelf. This has to guide our decision-making in the future. So with that being said, Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Marfell?
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
All right, that passes. Again, thank you. Okay, next is approval of consultation fees for a strategic planning session not to exceed an amount of $12,000. Trustee DeVore, I'd ask for a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve.
And a second?
Second.
All right, go ahead. Trustee DeVore, would you explain this, please?
So we've talked a little bit about the strategic planning session. I think we've all come to a date that we agreed on, but what this would do is allow us to be able to speak to each other and to Scott Sorrell and his team about how we implement things that we want to do and this comprehensive plan. So it'll help us set measurable goals to see what we want to accomplish right away.
I would agree. I think what we just adopted is our vision for the future. Now this would prioritize our goals. I think we all have a lot of similar goals, but some may have higher priorities than others. So I think this will be helpful for us, but I want to hear what you all have to say, so we're open for discussion. Dustin, you have anything to say on this? It's not to exceed, but we think it'll come in a lot because we asked for a very comprehensive deep dive, but we don't think that's going to be necessary, so we think it'll come in quite a bit under.
But yeah, there are a few things in there that I'm not sure that are kind of redundant from the comprehensive plan that we could remove from that. So I think we'll be able to save some money there. Hopefully that number is around the $10,000 mark, I would hope. So there's a few things in there that I don't really think we need. We've already had them once. So, but I did put it on there not to exceed 12. But until we get that number down, I didn't want to have it in front of you today with a really amount that I'm guessing at. But I do think we're going to save some money there.
Anyone else?
I just want to echo what you're saying and say, in my own opinion, I think this is a critical strategic planning move for Peoria Heights, and there are so many trustees doing very hard work in their own, for lack of a better word, category, but coming together and having the opportunity to really hash out what are our short-term goals for the next year is a wonderful opportunity. So it's wonderful for the village.
Thank you. Okay, if you're ready for the question, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Marfell?
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
Okay, thank you all. The next item, there is an executive session if the board so chooses. If anyone would like to go into executive session, I would prefer we take this last, but at this time, we can always defer this, but at this time I'm going to ask for a motion to approve full-time administrative employee raises. Trustee DeVore?
I make a motion to approve full-time administrative employee raises.
Is there a second? There was, okay. Trustee DeVore, please go ahead.
So each year we have talked about the administrative raises and how we like to keep them on track with our union raises. So that's kind of up again. In the past, last year we also gave bonuses. This year we're proposing that we remove the bonuses and just fluctuate the salary increases a little bit for those administrative positions, it works out to be a little more than if we did the bonuses, but not that much more. So instead of them, you know, some of the positions, instead of getting 3, they would be looking at like a 5% increase. 2 of the increases would not adjust their like pension credits because these are a stipend. So for some of our administrative people that are in the Public Works Department, that is a stipend similar to how, no?
No,
Okay.
I'm sorry, trustee.
No, I asked it before, I'm sorry if I crossed.
IMRF, all wages are eligible for pension.
Correct.
Yes,
But they're structured a little bit different. They're more
Yes.
like the administrator.
yes, they're structured
They're,
differently, but they would
right,
still
they're
be
structured the
public.
same as the administrators.
Okay, I'm sorry that I
Yeah,
said that incorrectly.
So, I'm sorry to
No,
interrupt.
I think you both are on the same page, it's just the verbiage is a little bit
Yes,
different.
yes,
But you're
sorry.
both on the same page.
You scared me, I was
Yeah,
like, okay,
right.
your face is so sharp.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so everyone is gonna be getting an increase, so now I've lost my train of thought.
I'm so sorry,
It's
trustee.
okay, it's okay. So we would be looking at our few union administrative people. If anyone has any questions, I can directly answer more. We kind of got off track there.
So this is just a wage adjustment.
Correct. So they have their cost of living increase, the 3% cost of living
Right.
increase, and a wage adjustment.
Right. And I've seen a lot of news here locally that a lot of companies are making wage adjustments. I think the labor market, the way it is, it's one, hard to get employees. So I don't
I
think.
think it's also not fair to have someone new, like have a wage adjustment, someone coming in new, making the same as what someone who's
Right.
worked for us for 20 years
Right.
makes, you know,
I agree.
the commitment.
Yeah.
And certainly with you and I, nothing is automatic and nothing should be expected. Everything, what you and I think are based on performance
Well,
and not to be expected every year, correct?
even though we're revoking the bonuses that were evaluation-based, all the employees are evaluated annually, and that's not going to change. The standards will still be high, the bar is still set high. That will not change anything, but the bonus structure for the few administrative positions will be revoked because of the salary adjustments. And there are 6 positions here. 3 years ago, we said that we were going to revisit the administrative positions in the Public Works Department after 3 years to make an adjustment, so that's why we're here today, so we're doing that. The other positions, you're exactly right, they do need to be adjusted due to union contracts, and again, some of these amounts, they're not huge, but they do make a difference, and I know the employees appreciate that, but like the mayor said, we hold the bar high, the expectation's high, the evaluation process is still in place, so I think this is a win-win for the village. It also helps in retention and retaining our employees. That's why we have we look across the board and we've got people that have been here 20, 25 years, 10, 15 years, and it doesn't happen all the time, and I'm very proud of that, the team we have here. So I think this is a nice gesture on the administration's behalf, revoking the bonuses at the end of the year and put them in a salary adjustment. I think it's the way to go. So that was my recommendation. Thank you, Trustee DeVore, for that.
Other comments? Okay, if you're ready for the question, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee DeVore,
Aye.
trustee Gett,
Aye.
trustee Kazam,
Aye.
trustee Marfel,
Aye.
trustee Wigginton,
Aye.
trustee Weisenberg.
Aye.
That passes. Thank you all. Next is approval of the purchase of a composting kiosk in the amount of $7,427. Trustee DeVore, I'd ask for a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve.
And a second?
Second.
I'm sorry.
Have the second.
I can't see anyone.
All right, Sarah, if you go ahead, and then we'll go to Trustee Kazam after that.
I'm actually gonna let Trustee Kazam take it off. She had a meeting about it today, so she can explain it to you a little bit better than I can.
Well, thank you. As we have discussed in multiple meetings, actually trustee Marfel and I, about 9 months ago, it seems like 9 months ago, it might have been a little bit longer, applied for and were awarded a composting grant to initiate food scrap composting in our village. So this, what we're voting on tonight, is actually just an action item formally paying for, and then the funds will be reimbursed by the county to initiate this initiative. I don't know if anyone else has any questions, but we will have information on our website about this. The kits will be for $30, which is one of the items that I spoke to today with Rebecca Cottrell, who has been incredibly helpful with us, to us to get this grant. And then the bags will be $16, but that type of detail will be on our website and with other educational material that the Heights will provide for our residents.
All right, thank you.
Dave,
Questions?
anything to add?
Dave?
Yeah, no, thank you, Trustee Kazam, for finishing this project. I've had very little to do with it, so I appreciate your efforts. I know it was a long process, so thank you.
Can I ask you something? Because I can't
Yes.
remember the exact address where it will be located.
It's the location we talked about. It's in the rear of 4541 Prospect.
Thank you, I knew you would
Yeah.
remember that.
Anyone else? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee DeVore.
Aye.
Trustee Getz.
Aye.
Trustee Kazam.
Aye.
Trustee Marfel.
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton.
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg.
Aye.
That passes. Next is approval of the use of Tower Park on Saturday, September 25th, 2021 for Strides for Justice 5K. Trustee Kazam, I'd ask for a motion to approve this.
I make a motion to approve.
In a second,
Second?
back to you, Trustee Kazam.
Do we have anyone in the audience this evening? Okay.
Would you come up to the microphone, please? That way everybody watching at home can hear you.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. Rob Everett. I'm an attorney and a member of the Peoria County Bar Association. We are seeking use of Tower Park on Saturday, September 25th in the morning to use it basically as a staging area for our 5K run, which is held on Grandview Drive. It's a fundraiser to support Prairie State Legal Services, which provides free legal help to the elderly and the poor.
It all goes to Prairie State?
Correct. The
Oh,
proceeds.
that's a great organization. I did not know that, so.
Right.
Any questions? All right, Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Trustee DeVore.
Aye.
Trustee Getz.
Aye.
Trustee Kazam.
Aye.
Trustee Marfel.
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton.
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg.
Aye.
That passes. Good luck with your event. I do a little volunteer work, and I'm very familiar with Prairie State Legal, but would you mind coming back up in just a couple of minutes, tell everybody here and listening at home what you do?
Sure. Well, I'm not an employee of Prairie State. I'm an attorney here local, but the race is designed to raise money and support them. But they help a lot of the poor and elderly with a lot of landlord-tenant issues and things that pop up in their lives where they couldn't necessarily afford an attorney, but this nonprofit organization provides legal assistance to them for free.
Great. And you do have a website, I believe?
Prairie State, I do believe they have a website. I'm not an employee of Prairie State, but I do believe they have a website.
Good luck with your event then.
All right, thank you.
Okay, next is approval of the use of Tower Park on Sunday, June 13th for the National Cancer Survivors Day event. Trustee Kazam, I'd ask for a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve.
Second?
And a second. Go ahead, Trustee Kazam.
Do we have someone in our audience this evening to speak to this? Yes, I believe.
Welcome.
I want to thank you all for letting me come tonight. My name is Kathy Copeland. I'm from St. Francis Medical Center, and we would like to use the park. We've used it before for this event. It's our National Survivor Celebration. It's a totally free event. We're not trying to raise funds or anything. We're just celebrating our patients that are in Survivor or families of those that have been touched by cancer, which is just about everybody in the world. This year, we're expecting more because last week St. Jude also called me and asked if they could be a part of it. So we're expecting to see a lot more families this year since before it was more of the adult population, so this year there'll be more children as we hope. So I do want to say there's a couple of changes. The Illinois Banjo are not coming. They had to cancel on me at the last minute, so we'll have an accordion club, so we won't need chairs and stuff like that. We were hoping if the tower is open, that maybe we could get access to the families to go up in the tower. And if we could get a couple of tables and maybe 8 chairs, that would be great for just some booths out there for education and stuff for anybody that wants. Any questions?
Questions? All right, Madam Clerk?
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Marfel?
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
That passes. Good luck with your event.
Thank you.
Next is approval of the use of Tower Park on Saturday, August 21st, 2021, for the Peoria Heights Congregational Church. Trustee Kazam, I'd ask for a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve.
In a second?
Second.
Okay, go ahead, Beth.
I see Rick Pitzel in the audience here this evening to
Welcome,
discuss
Rick.
this.
So we have used Tower Park for this will be our 17th concert that we've had, so it's been going on for a long time. And we hire a nationally known Christian band, so this year it's Sanctus Real. You may or may not have heard of it if you listen to Christian music. They're pretty big in Christian music. So Sanctus Real will be here, and we have a concert about 5 o'clock in the evening, and usually have a great time. We usually get Allens up here, and they cook some food, and so it's just kind of a big family event.
Questions?
I do want to thank the board and the village for supporting us for, the last 17 years. It's been great.
Thank you.
All right, Madam Clerk?
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Marfel?
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
Give our best to everybody across the street. Thank you, Rick. Thank you. Okay, next is approval of ordinance 2021-1648, an ordinance approving and adopting Peoria Heights Business Development District Number 1 Commercial Exterior Beautification and Renovation Program. Trustee Kazam,
I make a motion to approve.
second.
Second.
Go ahead, Trustee Kazam.
So the next 2 action items are a renewal, as the mayor said, of the village's commercial exterior beautification and renovation programs for BDD 1 and 2. That's why we have 2 action items. And as far as I know, there have been no changes made to the renewal this year.
Anything else, council?
We, just historically, we have renewed this every year. We go out only so far as the fiscal year. So as far as I could tell, no changes since last fiscal year. We're just effectively renewing it for 1 more year. It's hard to believe we're already in the next fiscal year, but here it is.
Thank you. Discussion. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Marfel?
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
Okay, next is approval of ordinance 2021-1649, an ordinance approving and adopting the Peoria Heights Business Development District Number 2 Commercial Exterior Beautification and Renovation Program. Trustee Kazam.
Well, this is very similar to, it's exactly the same.
Same as
thing,
before.
just different BDD district.
Okay, discussion.
We need a second, Mayor. We need a second.
Second.
Oh,
Thank you, Trustee DeVore.
okay. It's been moved and seconded.
Thank you.
Hearing no discussion, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Marfel?
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton?
All right, that passes.
Aye.
Trustee
I'm
Weisenberg?
sorry.
Aye.
Not used to all the W's. All right. Next is approval of ordinance 2021-1650, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a BDD number 1 redevelopment agreement by and between the Village of Peoria Heights and Jacob Davenport and Davenport LLC. Trustee Kazam,
I make a motion to approve.
second.
Second.
Okay, go ahead, Trustee Kazam.
I don't see Mr. Davenport in the audience tonight, but I have seen a tremendous amount of activity on his property at the lake, at the address of Lake and Prospect. This is an agreement between the village and Mr. Davenport for the funds in the amount of $10,000 in the form of a forgivable loan. Let's see, for a portion of the developer's eligible costs, so not for any specific item as far as I know. The loan is secured actually with a mortgage to the owner's property, as far as I know, so I think it's a very safe and very good use of funds. There's a tremendous amount of work being done to that building, and Mr. Davenport is actually putting in a State Farm facility at that location.
Anything? Questions?
So this isn't part of like the beautification program, he can use this on whatever he wants?
No, it is the beautification program, and the reason why we crafted it this way, because that location has already received BDD funds when it was the previous owner, and this protects the village to make sure that one, he's going to stay there for X amount of time, or he has to repay it back. So we crafted this a little bit different, just to protect the village and the BDD funds.
Okay, how did the BDD advisory board vote on this?
Well, obviously, we have not met with the BDD advisory board because of the last 6 times we've had meetings, we weren't able to get a quorum. So we did meet with Steve Klein on this, and I think the more efficient way to move forward with that would be to have 2 annual public meetings regarding a BDD forum. I think we'd get more input that way. They were advisory only anyway, but I don't want to exclude them, but I think people are so busy, it's just hard to get people, involved. And the only meeting we did have really last year was when we were giving out the beautification grant, and that was held, Zoom. So we were really having trouble getting people to commit. So I think that some of the businesses, some of the municipalities have taken this approach after talking to Steve Klein. They just have a couple annual meetings an annual forum. So business owners come in, say their piece about the grant. But I think our track record shows that we've been good stewards of the money since, we created the BDD fund. We've, obviously pushed it back into the COVID relief program. We've given out quite a few beautification grants. So I don't think there's a lot of question there anymore, but I don't want to eliminate having that open forum at least twice a year. So.
Great, thank you.
Anyone else?
I have a question. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Trustee Wigginton.
Okay, and I don't know if Administrator Sutton or someone who's familiar with the BDD, but as far as the State Farm Insurance Office, are there BDD taxes on the product that he'll be selling?
No, and that's a very good question that I'm not speaking against this tonight, and I really don't have a vote anyway unless there's a tie, but that is a future policy issue I think that, the board might need to consider. So typically, these funds from the BDD that we use are generated by sales tax. I had a meeting at the request of this business owner a couple of months ago at least, and encouraged him to bring in a second business that would generate sales tax revenue. We even had a meeting with Steve Klein, Trustee Kazam, myself, Chief Sutton, and that didn't go very far. So I've got a couple of reservations. One, because we're investing money in a property we already did, but we learned from that, and Dustin pointed out that won't happen again in the future. But two, I think the argument can be made, a rising tide lifts all boats, so that this is a property that will generate most likely more property tax for the other taxing bodies in the district, possibly will create more foot traffic in the area. You can make those arguments, but to answer your question, a long answer to your question, Trustee Wigginton, that we know of, this will not generate any sales tax.
I would like to add to that, Mayor, if I may, and I agree with your comments. particularly a rising tide lifts all boats. I will say that Mr. Davenport does have a portion of this property that he is rehabilitating that will be leasable space, to whom we don't know yet. So that could be a business that does generate sales tax revenue. And the beautification program is generally capped at about $10,000. So that's obviously a significant amount of money, but it's not an excessive amount of money. And he is doing a tremendous amount of work to that building, which is beautifying that corner of Lake and Prospect. So I know that this is a discussion that will come up in the future. I don't know how I feel about it yet, but I don't know that I feel that that should be exclusively limited to businesses that generate sales tax. Maybe there should be a limit on funds, but that's a conversation for a later date.
Yeah, and it is a facade program, and I do think, making that, cosmetically, more attractive is a positive for the village. But I do also agree with the mayor. I am anxious to see what other business is going to occupy the other space. I think that's going to be key. But as
we've
far
heard one.
Right. But the other thing is the beautification grant. I think it will serve its purpose. He is, as long as he understands what our process and procedures are, I think he'll be successful.
Yes.
Well, and lastly, I am somewhat, again, in the middle on this, but if I were a business owner paying tax into the BDD, I might have another opinion. But anyway, I've said my piece. Like to hear what
I understand that.
As a business owner that pays tax into the BDD, I understand both sides of whatever it is, but by what your neighbor's business looks like is only going to help profit your business as well. So I think this could be a really big positive for that area.
I may have missed this part, but is this the same business that is currently on Prospect by Heights Bank? Is that the same?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Anyone else?
Is that business location in any TIF district?
Yes. TIF and BDD.
And he has not sought TIF incentive for that location, only BDD.
We did have at least one meeting with him about the TIF district and made him aware of the tools that the village has in its tool belt in both BDD and TIF. So they are aware of that, Trustee Wigginton, but they haven't pursued it.
Okay.
Anyone else? Madam Clerk?
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gatt?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Marfel?
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
That passes. Okay. Next is approval of repairs to well number 12 by Cahoy Pump Service, not to exceed the amount of $90,000. Trustee Marfel, I'd ask for a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve?
In a second?
Second.
Go ahead, Trustee Marfel.
Okay, I'll start off, and then if Chris wants to chime in, he can. Just a reminder, well 12 is at the end of Cord Court off of Gardner Lane, below the hill. This was designed and built in 2010. It's pumped dirty water since its conception. It's believed that it was not properly developed. This estimate here is for $79,961. The approval's not to exceed $90,000, so that's a $11,000 buffer in case they find something else wrong with it. This will put the well pretty much back into a new state. It's got very few man hours in its 11 years of existence. They haven't used it very much. So that estimate's a pretty good price to get this thing up and running. A brand new well right now, you're looking at about $350,000. So.
Are they sure they can fix it? Because we've repaired this before, right?
We have not, no.
We've never repaired it.
No, there was some costs last budget year. I think that was the investigation as to what this, but yeah, this has not been.
I thought maybe prior, like
No, kind of-
2015, it was repaired.
No, fear of the unknown kind of kept this on the back burner for a while.
But they're sure that they can make it pump clear water?
Yes.
Okay.
How long are they going to warranty it for?
That's a good question. Mr. Chandler, can you find that out for me?
Yeah, that is, I can find out. I can find out.
I would just hate to repair it and then 6 months down the road, we got dirty water again.
Right,
And then
yeah.
we're back at the same.
Yeah, I don't see that under the notes. It doesn't say how long the warranty is, and I'm not familiar with the warranties on these, so yeah, we can find out that.
Mark might have a comment.
Mark, would you take the microphone, please?
Do we go what?
We need to get you guys a mic over there eventually.
Did we go out for bids on this? Because this is certainly over the amount that would require bidding. Now, there's reasons to not bid, like if you have somebody that's worked on a well year after year, and, you know, they're the ones that know it, they've got the equipment, and...
Yeah, we have, since I was doing this, we had never gone out for bids. It's due because of Cahoy is familiar with our system. And we've had no issues with them, so that's, I mean...
So if we're going to approve it that way, we would need the motion to include a statement that we're, you know, we're waiving the bid requirement because Cahoy is familiar with our system, has worked on it in the past, and we want to stick with the same contractor that's provided service in the past on this well.
So is it okay if I just ask the maker of the motion and the seconder?
I think so. I would ask for an amendment since the motion was already made.
You want an amendment?
I think so. I think that would be the appropriate way.
May I have an amendment, Trustee Marfel?
Yeah, I make a motion to make the amendment.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right.
Attorney Walton, could you please repeat what you want the amendment to read as?
Please, thank you.
Yes, it would be an amendment to approve the Cahoy pump proposal, and that we're waiving bids on that proposal due to Cahoy's experience with the village and knowledge of our water system and this well.
Discussion on the motion.
I don't
You have a que- Okay, I thought you had a question. All right, Madam Clerk, call the amendment, please.
All right, this is on the amendment to approve the Cahoy well proposal, waiving bid requirements on that proposal due to Cahoy's experience with the village and their knowledge of our water system and this well. Trustee DeVore.
Aye.
Trustee Gadd.
Aye.
Trustee Kazam.
Aye.
Trustee Marfel.
Aye.
Trustee Wigington.
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg.
Aye.
All right, the amendment passes. Back to the main motion as amended. Anything else? Go ahead.
Yeah, Chris, do you have anything to add to the?
No, just that this is our newest well, and it is our nicest well, and it will be nice to have this up and running as it should be.
Anything else? Okay, we're voting on the main motion as amended. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee DeVore.
Aye.
Trustee Gadd.
Aye.
Trustee Kazam.
Aye.
Trustee Marfel.
Aye.
Trustee Wigington.
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg.
Aye.
All right, that passes. Next, approval of Ameren easement number 38.0. Trustee Marfel, I'd ask for a motion to approve that.
Make a motion to approve?
And a second?
Second.
Back to you, Trustee Marfel.
I will refer to council on this.
Thank you. I wanted to address these tonight. I'm the one that asked for them to be on the agenda. We've been working with Ameren on and off for several months on these. You may notice that with easement 38.0, it's dated August 6th, so this has lingered for a while, and part of the reason it has lingered is because Ameren is asking us to enlarge their existing easement in two different locations, which is why the second, the very next agenda item is another Ameren easement. So just generally speaking, they've asked to expand their easement to areas adjacent to the trail. This first one, easement number 38.0, is sort of a long area. It's on both sides of Glen, adjacent to the trail. This one is a little easier to accept because they already have an existing easement along the trail. They're widening the existing easement, and again, this is mainly for them to assure that they have access to clear vegetation, trees, and things that might interfere with the transmission lines. I asked for some language in the easement that would protect us from interference with the trail when they do work, and they explained to me why they can't agree to that type of language. They don't know what situations will arise in the future. They assured me, and I think experience, you guys in Public Works would know better than me, but I think our experience with Ameren has always been a good experience, that they don't set up, a job, close off a street, or in this case, the trail, and then, not do the work. But we have had that problem in the past with other work, so I raised the issue. I wanted the board to understand that although we asked for protective language that would require detours and things that would protect people that use the trail, they weren't willing or able to agree to that in either instance. So I thought it was something that the board should specifically, give consideration to. And although it's on the agenda tonight, this is something that requires an ordinance to approve, and I didn't think it was appropriate to drop on you guys and ladies in one setting. I think it's something that you need to think about and give some consideration to. Although the first one that we're talking about right now, 38.0, again, is a little easier to swallow because they already have an easement along the trail. If they need access and in order to accomplish the work that they're going to do, they need to close the trail on a temporary basis. They already have that right. So focusing on agenda item 1, easement 38.0, if we grant that easement, the fee that they're going to pay us is $28,750. So we would in effect be selling them greater easement rights than they currently have. And if you want...
Council, you said if this is approved, then we'd still have to come back and adopt.
Yes, I don't think it's appropriate to ask to vote on this all at once. I wanted to explain it first. We would come back with an ordinance at a later meeting.
All right, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. If you want to see the specific map, there is in the package both an aerial photograph, and this is true with both of these easements, and then a plat that shows the existing easement. And in the case of easement 38.0, the first one that we're talking about right now, that existing easement pretty much runs right down the center of the trail. And then the expanded easement area, which is largely to the south and west, although it runs at an angle from southeast to northwest. So the location is depicted on the plat. Again, not really looking for approval. It got listed on the agenda as approval, but we'll come back later with an ordinance.
So do they use local counsel on this?
They did not use an attorney. They use an engineering firm to negotiate.
To just say no or to negotiate?
They did say that the price was negotiable, but the language in the easement was not.
Well, then maybe the price needs to be negotiable.
That's the reason I wanted to talk about it first, instead of just putting it on the agenda for approval.
Is this a subject for executive session in the future?
It absolutely can be, yes. Again, I think everybody would be well served to take a look at this and look at the location and give thought to it, and then...
I think an executive email from you, a summary...
Absolutely.
I don't feel comfortable negotiating in public. I don't know about anyone else.
I agree.
So would a motion to defer these two items be in order, or do you want...
Real quick, on the second easement, that location is... So it's east of Trefskers, also adjacent to the trail. That's new easement where there is none currently. But again, they have overhead lines, so they do have certain easement rights. So I don't want to lead you to believe that they couldn't interfere with the trail if they needed to do repairs to those. That is a much smaller, much more confined area, again, depicted on a map with an aerial. if you want to look at it. That one is $7,600
So
is the offer.
The second one you would recommend, or it just?
No, not necessarily. I think the second one differs from the first in that the first one is taking an easement that I think is 15 or 20 feet wide and doubling the width. So they already have existing easement rights on the trail area. They're just widening it. And the second one that's closer to Trefsker's is not an existing easement, but I don't understand honestly how that can be. I didn't do a title search, but there's overhead aerial lines there, so I have to assume that they have some sort of rights, or they wouldn't have built those lines.
So I'm going to ask for a motion at this point to defer this item, then we'll go to the next one. I'd ask for a motion to defer this until council is ready to bring it back to the board.
I make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
I second.
All right, on the deferral, any discussion? Voice vote's okay on this, council?
It is.
All those in favor of the deferral signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it.
Aye.
So to the next item, approval of Ameren easement number 64-03. To get this before the board, I'd ask for a motion, trustee Marfell, to approve it.
Make a motion to approve?
And a second?
Second.
Did I hear a second?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, Jeff. All right.
I think that, honestly, if we're going to defer one, we should probably defer both and discuss both.
Okay, I'd ask for another motion to defer.
I make a motion to defer.
Motion by trustee Gett,
Second.
second by trustee DeVore.
Just a moment, please.
Any discussion here?
Sorry, clerk.
Trustee Gatt, you seconded that, and then you made the motion to defer. And trustee DeVore, you seconded the motion to defer.
Yes.
Thank you very much, both of you.
Sorry.
No. Just want to make sure I get this down. Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Any discussion on the deferral? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thank you all.
Aye.
All right. Next is approval of the Poplar Park Task Number 1, planning fees by Farnsworth Group in the amount of $4,820. Trustee Weisenberg?
Sure, thanks, Mayor. I move to approve $4,820 for Poplar Park Task 1 Planning by Farnsworth Group.
And a second?
Second.
So before we vote on this, actually, there's a presentation, both Jeff Martin and Paul Corey here tonight. Would you set this up, Brandon, kind of how we started with this and where we are and what our thinking is? And then hand it over to our guests?
Sure. So I think it started with wanting to submit something for Build Peoria, if I remember correctly. So we reached out to Farnsworth Group to try to help us develop a plan. We have a vast underutilized space at Poplar Park. So we kind of wanted to update our vision with our now approved comprehensive plan and focus on riverfront activation and utilizing our natural resources. We wanted just a master plan, if you will, for Poplar Park, where we want to be at in the future and how to better utilize that space.
And you and I and Mike Casey and
Yep.
Dustin met at, and Jeff, or Paul met at Poplar Park recently, and
Yep.
that's how it began.
Yes.
So welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you. So what we have pulled up here is actually the submission that we had pulled together for the application for the Build Peoria grant. And so I thought we could flip through this. It kind of takes through the sequence, the master plan, and the context behind the master plan for the park. So here, do you have a copy of, do you all have a copy of this? Not necessarily here, maybe electronically, but this is a nice piece that Mike Bailey wrote together. We took a stab at bullet points, and then Mike turned it into prose, which is really quite nice. And he talks about the access to the Illinois River and how this is such a unique place and a unique asset, and especially just with the proximity of the village to the river. But the park itself is not noticed much today along Galena Road. Cars are driving by and not too many are stopping. Or some are stopping, but not too many. He talks about butterflies and fishing poles and shelling buckets and, paints the picture of the different activities that could take place at the park. It's 10 acres, plays a critical role in the vision of Peoria Heights harnessing creating an ecotourism, becoming an ecotourism destination. Of course, as you all know, the $70 million of Galena Road. The Galena Road improvements are still underway, and this park is just off of those improvements. And ultimately, the grant submission is for improvements at the park, even though we're going to walk you through the bigger context. So we as part of the comprehensive plan, we talked about the connection from the uptown to the river. And during the comprehensive plan, we looked at a number of different locations where that could occur, and Poplar is one of the key locations. It's Jeff's opinion and my opinion that this is maybe the key location where you can actually access the river from uptown. Most people could literally walk down Glen or Grandview Drive, get to Woods Park, and take a boardwalk down through Bielefeld Park and be able to connect over to the river. It's a walk that somebody could do, in an afternoon. I don't know, has anybody ever heard of this called Woods Park at the end of Glen and Grandview Drive? I saw it on a Google map. I don't know where the name came from. I started calling it Woods Park, just the little triangle there. I guess it's that triangle right there. I don't know. Maybe it says Woods Park on the plaque over there. But if you could go to the next slide, Jeff. What's really nice about this location is just the proximity to the river, as I had mentioned before, as well as this is all from Woods Park to the river is all publicly owned property. So you have the park district and the village property of Poplar Park. And that just makes creating access a lot easier, so you're not having to negotiate with private property owners and that sort of thing. So the grant submission itself is for improvements in Poplar Park. This image is more of the context for the master plan. So we're showing a proposed future pedestrian bridge connection over Galena Road, and then this bluff connection trail here would be, something more, we're thinking something more than a dirt path, something that would allow people of more abilities to be able to traverse down the steep bluff. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. So if we can zoom in then on the next slide, I think we start getting a little closer to the park itself. So this is a master plan or a build out of the park itself. And I don't know if I can point and speak into the mic at the same time. Okay, so thanks, Jeff. So for the grant submission itself, well, let me talk about the master plan. So what's shown here is it's kind of a kidney bean shape that is a boardwalk going through the park. And one of the ideas that Mayor Phelan brought up was to provide an amenity that allows people to witness the ebb and flow of the river over the course of a year. So you could actually engage with floods or be able to walk through the flood areas. Do you remember where the flood water comes up through the park? So right, kind of the sand, right through there, and then up through the sandy part in the middle, that's where the low spot is in the park where the floodwaters start. So this boardwalk is designed to kind of go walk around and actually bridge over where those floods would occur. In the highest floods, the boardwalk would actually, parts of the boardwalk would actually be submerged in water. But we don't have a lot of fast-moving water once it's flooding back into the park. And then the plantings around the boardwalk are envisioned to be natural plantings. Today it's a mowed area, and this would be an idea to hopefully you could actually do less mowing down there. And it would be natural plantings that would bring more insects and birds. The mayor pointed out the number of birds and different types of birds we were seeing when we were down there. But the idea is to bring more of a naturalized habitat back to the park. And then another idea is a kayak launch. I believe the mayor has talked with somebody who's interested in renting kayaks at a kayak launch along the river. And then I think the other notes, keynotes on the drawing here are really kind of the existing amenities, the 2 pavilions, the restrooms, parking. And I think we may show a few extra sidewalk connections to connect all of those amenities. Did I miss anything, Jeff? Is that, okay. So on the next slide, it shows this horseshoe shape is really what's being proposed in the grant application to build Peoria. So it's just the first section of the boardwalk, and then essentially landscaping around that section, and then over time, the idea would be that the village would, figure out other means to be able to construct the rest of the boardwalk and the rest of the vegetation. I did receive a call from one of the Build Peoria members, and she asked a number of questions. And she asked if there was any flexibility in what if the village was to receive this grant, any flexibility in what they would build for the village. And I explained that it's all part of a master plan. Any pieces of it that they were willing to construct would be an improvement from what's there today and a step in the right direction to building out for the master plan. I don't know if she's thinking it's all boardwalk and no vegetation, or all vegetation, no boardwalk, or kayak launch. I'm not sure, but I got the idea that the village wasn't, any of it. They'd be happy to get any of it going forward. She asked about timeline as well. The way that I think the approvals would have, the selection happens a little later this summer. And then and then they actually start fundraising for the project. So it wouldn't be until next summer or next year until they would actually start construction on the project. So I don't know if you were aware of how the program worked, but that's the timeline that they were talking about, which I don't think is necessarily an issue for the village either. As far as the connection, let's go ahead. We do have some images here actually in the park. So here's an aerial view at the bottom in the middle of the slide. That's a connection out to the proposed kayak launch. You can see the boardwalk, just a few feet above grade. It's actually a level boardwalk as we have it designed. The area could you point to the part of where the boardwalk loop is sidewalk, where it's at grade? So up in that area, that's actually an area of the park that even in the highest floods does not flood. So we have a section that you can always access a part of the boardwalk loop, no matter how high the water is. Thanks. Just another view, seeing Bielefeld Park across the road. Yeah, thanks. So that's the area of the park. This section of the park and by the parking is, from looking at some topographic maps, is where the last part for the park to flood. I'm sure your experience, you guys may know better than we do from seeing the real floods down there. So, just looking to create a lot of different type of amenities at the park to be able to start attracting more people to the park and to the river. And in this bigger context, to be able to create this connection up the bluff, really we think is a really attractive place for the village. And as far as the other connections, we spoke with Jeff and I had a meeting with the Park District, not specifically about this, but we did talk with them about this project and talked about the bluff connection that would be through their property. And they were going to do some research into any conservation restrictions that they may have, but they liked the idea of having, initially we called it a boardwalk, and they were worried about maintenance, so then they said if it was a metal type of stair structure that went down, they think they'd be on board with that. And then we also talked about this pedestrian bridge, which would be on their property, and they were supportive of that idea as well. And then as far as the pedestrian bridge, we've talked about maybe trying to chase some of the federal community project funds to see if the pedestrian bridge is something that maybe through some of the stimulus money that's coming out would be approved.
Yeah, so would you expand on, we're talking about Poplar, but we're also meeting with IDOT, and would you expand on that pedestrian bridge just a little bit and why we think that's important and the challenges to get that accomplished?
So some of the questions we've asked at the IDOT meetings are about the pedestrian access. The orange or peach line, the arrow, that's on the bluff side of Galena Road. That is the multi-use trail, the 10-foot wide concrete trail that will be for pedestrians and bicyclists. And so we're trying to get the people on their bikes and walking that are on that side of the road to the other side of the road. And IDOT has explained that with the speed of the traffic on that road, it's too fast to allow any type of at-grade pedestrian crossing. Traffic signals, there's not enough traffic from any of the side streets because it is so narrow. You just don't have a lot of cars that are pulling off or onto the road in any given spot to be able to justify a traffic signal today. So we have to look at other ways to get people across the road if we want to be able to connect pedestrians from uptown to the river. So a pedestrian bridge. We talked about a tunnel. The idea of a tunnel under the road and under the railroad tracks seems even more costly than an elevated pedestrian bridge. I don't know if that covered everything or not. IDOT did say in the future, once the road is developed and some of the design elements of the road, narrower lanes, even just having curb and gutter instead of a gravel shoulder, some of the turn lanes, all of these things have the ability to maybe slow traffic down. It changes the psychology of a driver versus what they're driving on today. And so in the future, if those speeds decrease, then maybe there'd be the potential for, other crossings or traffic signals. But that's, who knows how that actually shakes out over time.
Well, and if I may just make one more point, obviously we want to talk about the quality of life, and I think this will be a huge improvement for the residents of the village who live along Route 29 and the river. I also feel very strongly that this area could be one of the Heights' all-stars when it comes to economic development and how we bring people back to the Heights. I think there's some terrific areas to do some residential development. We have interest from other developers, but if you would just mention the potential of connectivity. So going to the new span of the bridge at roughly where Hardee's is, there will be a trailhead there. East Peoria has, I believe, made plans and allotted the money to extend their trail out of East Peoria all the way to the bridge. So the connectivity there with ICC, with East Peoria, to bring people into the Heights for not only for visiting, but for commerce and connecting with the Rock Island Trail. The city of Peoria has announced that they're going to go ahead, I think, and do the crossing with the Rock Island Trail on 150. So if you as planners would talk about the potential for this area.
Talk about any of that? Yeah, I know, that's what I thought too. That's why I handed it off to you. You did seem to touch on all of the pieces. You want, either way. My understanding is the city of Peoria did get the 1.3 or 1.5 million to, I don't know if it connects all the way down to downtown, but at least takes it the next stretch. I don't know if you may know.
Yeah, Mayor, like you mentioned, there's a lot of pieces coming together, so this is a great time to be thinking about this. We're working on a plan right now with Tri-County and East Peoria to look at basically going from Bass Pro up to the bridge with the trail. There's kind of segments of a boardwalk there now if you ever get over on that side of the river and walk back in there. So that's one segment that we can connect to. There's plans eventually for the Rock Island Trail to get not only across 150, but actually all the way to downtown. We were studying that, and then COVID kind of put that on delay. So this definitely falls into that. And kind of going back to the comp plan, if you remember when we talked about connections, we talked about multiple connections kind of filtering down the bluff. And I think this is probably the key one. There were several other areas, but this one is so great because literally it's right out the window over here. And as Paul mentioned, you can get down to the hill. We're connecting multiple parks together with the Illinois River, which is a wonderful asset. And then with all the work that's happening on Galena Road, the timing couldn't be better. So I don't think I added anything to your nice summary of all these pieces and parts of trailways and ecotourism that are happening, but this is the right time to be looking at this and to be studying this.
Well, we've talked about a lot of these things individually, and even, this, I think, hits on Trustee Kazam's effort with Redco and how we think the Upper Peoria Lake can evolve into a tourist destination and provide a whole lot of dollars for the community. But back to Poplar Park, I guess. So that's where we started.
In the comp plan, one of the special areas that we looked at was this area. And there's a lot of, if you look in the comp plan, there's a couple little sketches in there that show development in and around this park. So, what comes first, the development or the park? We already have the park, but I think that's going to draw, development to this area.
I think what really excites me about us as a board of trustees being proactive about this particular park is that it's in our hands to develop it. We can do in phases, we can create an amazing ecotourism destination that's going to impact the neighborhoods around there. It's going to potentially, hopefully, have IDOT look at us for a traffic light in that area. We could potentially get a pedestrian bridge above 29. And it's really going to, just as you're saying, have connectivity to the Upper Peoria Heights. But what is most exciting is that we have complete control over this. We can, as a board, take control and develop this area that's going to just like satellite out into the other neighborhoods around that area.
And this is on basically the 50-yard line of the Galena Road improvements. So it's right in the middle of the village's property. So a lot of space to radiate out. A couple of other minor things, or maybe one important minor item, is the dotted line that comes off the north side of Poplar Park and heads around National Marina toward the Longshore neighborhood. That's an existing, there's an easement. And people, I don't know if people walk to the park from Longshore or not. Does that happen, do you know?
I know I did.
You did, okay. So that's illegal, you weren't trespassing when you did that, but to improve that connection might be a nice amenity to, for the Longshore neighborhood.
Okay, back to you, Trustee Weisenberg, if you want to make any comments, and we'll open it up for discussion.
I don't have any additional comments.
I'd like to hear your thoughts. Okay, gentlemen, I guess you covered it. Jeff, your specialty is landscaping for the firm, right?
Yeah, I'm a landscape architect,
Okay.
community planning. So, we definitely see this, as Paul touched on. This becomes, instead of mown lawn, this is a riparian, habitat down there.
So along with this, will there be a budget and maybe what the steps would be for the board? And you heard us tonight say we're having a strategic planning session, so all these things we're talking about will be prioritized, but will you have cost estimates, and or will that require more work?
We did for the, if you want to go to the horseshoe graphic.
We're paying you for the concept, what you've done, that's a great concept.
Yeah, in the horseshoe graphic right there, we did start to look at costs for that, for what the grant, could get for the 50,000. We haven't looked at kind of large scale costs for the whole thing. We could do that, and that wouldn't be a huge effort, so we can get you that information.
Okay.
So.
All right, so then before us is we've got the motion and the second. For the planning fees for Farnsworth in the amount of $4,820. We got the motion in a second. If there's no further discussion, then we'll call the question on that. Madam Clerk?
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Marfell?
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Trustee Weisenberg.
Any concerns or any questions or anyone had with, or anything we're missing? I'd just be curious for some.
Yeah, no, I don't think we're missing anything. When we were down there with the tour, and I mentioned this several times, to to Paul. When you look at the park, it just seems kind of bare. Like there's not a lot of vegetation. So I don't know if this is just throwing ideas out there. I don't know if with the landscape background you have, if there's a way to kind of increase the trees. I know we had talked about some trees that were good in floodplains.
It's pretty much populated by the cottonwoods that are.
Yeah.
Right.
There is. In part, I think if we can establish, I think there's kind of a neat, almost cathedral aspect when you get down into the park that, there's the huge cottonwood trees, but then it's kind of open underneath. But that underneath right now is not attracting native habitat,
Right.
wildlife. I think maybe, Paul, go to that shot that just shows some of the native plantings. I think if we can establish the understory, and maybe there are some understory plantings, we want to look for that, but to get more trees in there, I don't know if we necessarily need that, but I think it's this ground plane, and get rid of the grass, get rid of the, people having to mow it.
Right.
That's really going to attract the wildlife
Okay.
in there.
Get rid of the mowing, not the people that have.
True.
Well, I hope this is a priority for the board when we set our goals, but I would encourage you to please keep working on this. And gentlemen, if you may not know, we just created a committee that specifically deals with neighborhoods and parks to improve the quality of life in the village, and Trustee Weisenberg is heading that up. So all these sorts of concepts, I think we all find interesting and important. Where they'll fall out is yet to be seen, but I think the board will hold this a high priority as some other streetscapes that we may want to take a look at. So there's another one we've talked about, but I think we should see, we'll probably announce that at another time and bring that before the board when you're ready, Trustee Weisenberg.
Not to overstay my welcome at the mic, but as far as next steps, cost estimating, the construction of the boardwalk, I mean, there are some steps that I could see, down the road, and depending how, if Build Peoria builds a section of it, how does it get built in the future? Is that volunteer labor? Does it go out for hard bids to a contractor? There are a number of ways that this can get developed over time. Shoot, there was one other point. Oh, and the other point was about signage. The signage from Galena Road is, there's a small sign today, and, so down the road at some point too, creating better visibility that there is a park there and some attractive signage to help draw people in would be another component of this. Yeah, on the bridge, he said, yeah.
I think with popular in all of our parks, I think all of our signage needs updated.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, someone should know they're in a Peoria Heights park. Maybe incorporate tower, I don't know, but I agree on the signage.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and we voted on that, right?
Correct.
All right. Next, we would be at miscellaneous business. Any miscellaneous to come before the board?
Yes, I got something, Mayor Phelan. Is there a plan put in place yet to open the tower as far as operating hours or days of operation?
We'll take that, Dustin.
Yeah, it's actually opening up this weekend with the art fair, so we'll be open.
Okay.
Yep. We're going to start out Thursday through Sunday, and the employees are going through training right now. So.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, we would be at payment of the bills. I would ask for a motion to pay the bills.
I make a motion to pay the bills.
Have a second?
Second.
Second.
All right. Any discussion on the motion or any question on any of the bills? Madam Clerk?
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Getz?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Murphy?
Aye.
Trustee Wigington?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
All right, bills are paid. Next is the treasurer's report. I would ask for a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
Make a motion.
Do you
Thank
want
you.
me to read this before they?
Oh, I'm sorry. was in the packet, I'm getting ahead of myself.
As of the end of April, there was $3,636,330.08 in the village-controlled accounts, and in the water-controlled accounts, there was $1,531,322.85.
All right, excuse me for that. So I heard a motion to approve. Do you have a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee DeVore.
Aye.
Trustee Gett.
Aye.
Trustee Kazam.
Aye.
Trustee Marfel.
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton.
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg.
Aye.
All right, that passes. I don't think there's a need for an executive session, so Trustee Gett,
I make a motion to adjourn.
is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of the motion to adjourn signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, we're adjourned.
Aye.